So I go over to my house and I'm getting my laptop to get Connie's underwriting announcement. We just produced that yesterday, and I was bringing it back over, and some guy's up on my back porch, and I'm just traipsing around. I'm going, what's going on? And I come out here, and it turns out it's not only some guy, it's Mike Justice from our Daily Bread Ministries, and you also used to live there, right?
Yes.
So yeah. I guess I was in your house on one level.
You were, yes.
Let me get that mic a little closer to you.
Okay, I can get that in.
So we're going on live. We were going to go on at 11 and just sort of catch up and talk. It's the first time I've had Mike on KFUG, and but we were sitting here for like the last 10 minutes just having a great conversation, so I figured we'd go live now and see what's up. So you're still doing okay, huh?
Awesome, yeah, doing good.
Pretty sure I interrupted you in mid-thought when we were getting ready to go on the air here, but there were lots of thoughts going on.
Yes.
So first off, you lived in my house. You said you were in high school?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually lived here when I was my first house. I got married, and yeah.
Oh my God!
And the seafood plant was still going, so that was a little interesting times back then. A little stinky at times.
Yeah.
But
Elk Valley Road was stinkier
yes,
too, wasn't it?
Yes, it sure was. Yeah.
I remember that smell with the I won't even say what it smelled like, but it was like something happened in a wet paper bag.
Right.
So welcome back to the neighborhood.
Thank you.
So I wanted to talk to you about all kinds of things. Initially, wanted to have you on after going to Roger Gitlin's hometown buffet. He had his town hall meeting there talking about the homeless issue based on his interaction down in the park that he'd had with the homeless person. And you got up and basically here's everybody with their opinions and talking about their encounters, things that have happened, what they believe, all of this. But you stood up with really the only real piece of information there that night.
Well, thank you.
And that was about the shelter that the ministry runs.
Right.
So let's start with that, and let's go with the. There's so many things to talk about, but let's just right now today. What is the capacity of the shelter? Okay,
so right now today we have a permit for rescue permit status. We have to renew that every year until we get the conditions of the permit met, which is a whole lot of construction stuff and different kinds of things that they put forth and give you time to do. We should be done with all of our conditions this year, which will we won't have to renew our permit next year. That's the plan. So we'll be able to expand on our rescue mission status. Rescue mission status is very broad. It'll be the last permit we ever have to go after unless we want to build something. Then we'll need a building permit. But basically, we got gifted with a very generous gift of $52,000, and basically paid off our mortgage. We were able to shut down our thrift store, which is, and ultimately the long-term goals were always to get rid of that store so we'd have more room so that we can expand with this current situation on the homeless that's going on, to be able to work with county and city officials, the police officers, and be able to give people an option, either go to jail for some kind of violation or go to the rescue mission. That was the idea.
The permit that you're having to get now, is this something that will need to be renewed periodically? Or
no, once we get all the conditions met on it, which should be this year, we have Stover Engineering on that. They're hired, the best engineers in town working on it. As soon as they sign us off on the last two things that we have, a sewer assessment and our blueprint drawings for the facility, I think there's one other thing that we have to tackle, but we'll use Stover again on that. We should have that all completed, which in turn means we won't have to renew. It'll be grandfathered. And once it's grandfathered, then we can do what rescue missions do, which is ultimate goal is 7 days a week, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, housing every single night, summer and winter, availability to get this problem that's been visibly building for years, mind you. We had less homeless 10 years ago. Now it's very visible. It will essentially make the situation less visible. Working with the police and law enforcement to be able to provide a place for them to stay, there will be an alternative. And our goal is for 40 40 transient beds, so that whenever they do call, hey, you have room? Yes, we do. So we'll be able to meet that problem head on, make it less visible to our community, hopefully by tourist season, because everybody knows our little town relies so much on tourist season for most of our funding. So, we don't want to see the city suffer or the county suffer at all. So we want to be a blessing to our community.
And just for context, this was all part of the issue with the town hall meeting, was that there's been a court case out of the Ninth Circuit from Boise, Idaho, saying that law enforcement can't roust homeless people at night and make them move on if there's no place for them to move on to.
Right.
And you then on our Daily Bread Ministries then will provide that space.
Yes, and another thing is they're saying, well, because we're a religious organization, that won't, they cannot be made to go there. Well, our actual shelter, we don't force anybody to read the Bible or Bible studies or any of that during that period of time. So we're going to be, we do have a service with every meal. So that's part of the cost of having a meal. You got to listen to us. And I always tell them, hey, Dollar Tree sells earplugs if you want to pop them in. We're not forcing anything. It's just the cost of the meal.
Well, and it seems like until the government is willing to fork out and to pay for these beds and to run them the way they want, then you should take what happens in your community, right?
Right. And I'd like to say too, in 2008 when the economy crashed, we were actually in this mode, and they other organizations had called a meeting and came there, and they looked at me like, Mike, how are you making it? And I said, well, this is going to be an easy question to answer. We never had any money. Therefore, when you take it out of the equation, we're in our comfort zone.
Yeah.
I have peace because I've been broke. I mean, the ministry has been, for the last over 10 years, if you ever looked at our books, it's completely shoestring budget. I mean, we don't even have a general fund. We're going to create one first time in 13 years.
Yay.
We're going to have repairs. So things get broke and we duct tape it and do whatever we got to do to get around it until we get a little windfall or Christmas time. Then we go fix stuff. But we're going to actually form a budget now, be able to. It's Daily Bread Ministries is a money funnel. It just takes a lot of money to operate. We've trimmed the fat, so to speak, in every area. It's just, and I want to say too as well, it's more than just about homeless people. That's not our total focus. We do a community Christmas dinner and gift giveaway every year. It's been growing. Last year it was 450 at the 450 people and families and kids. They get brand new gifts. Kids get to pick out for their parents. The parents get to pick out for their kids.
Oh, wow.
So we do that every year. And this year it's really, it's growing every year. So we're expecting, even 600 this year. And so that it's community as well focused. We do want to meet the needs and be a blessing to our community. I just can't wait until we get to the place where we're able to, maybe find out the county's struggling with the project and to be able to bless them with some finances. That's a goal I have, because we want to be community orientated. We want to focus on, Come Back Town USA, Bill Stamps. Everybody remembers him. We want to be a blessing to our community. That was the focus all along. And that's great.
So a couple of things I want to get into, so just sort of backtracking into the conversation we were having before we went live.
Right.
Let's talk about the windfall. It's a really interesting story. This just came, kind of answered a lot of prayers and came out of the blue, right?
Yeah, I mean, we had, out of the mouth of babes, I'll use that phrase, because we have 10 people in our discipleship program right now, and the lady came, one of the clients, she's been with us a little over a year, came and said, hey, there's going to be a windfall. There's going to be some money coming to you, and it's going to be right under your nose. And I'm like, okay, well, praise the Lord. I was happy that she was inspired, but she really said, hey, this is what I got from the Lord.
And did she say this was like this was like a religious thing that she
Yeah, she was praying, and the Lord showed her that money was coming our way. And and I've heard that before, and little money had came, and anyway, so about about 2 weeks after that was brought to my attention, I get a phone call and somebody asked me, and it's a very anonymous person, doesn't want to be known, didn't even want a tax write-off for this gift.
Wow.
Literally just blessed us and said, hey, what do you guys owe on your mortgage? It was $52,000. We had about 4 years left on there. We'd always pay way more than our mortgage payment to, keep from paying interest. And long story short, we got to pay it off. So now we decided, hey, we don't no longer need the thrift store. We need the space more. So we shut the thrift store down. We gave everything away for free. We needed the space in order to grow the programs to where we can be more effective.
That's an amazing that's an amazing story. I mean, just to hear that it's coming and then boom, just out of the blue. And, you know who it is, I'm sure. You have not said any. I just want to say that if the person is out there at all, wow, thank you. That's an amazing gift and an amazing thing to do for the community. That's great.
I think I stayed up about 3 or 4 days with that excitement, just blown away, thanking God for everything that God has done. And the journey, it's about enjoying that journey. And I tell you what, last year was probably the first year that I actually got to that level where things do not affect me anymore. I don't worry about finances. There's a bill due. The money comes in always right on time. A lot of faithful givers that have been with me for 13 years been giving faithfully on a monthly basis, which in turn, now our donor base will pay our bills right now. One thing that I do not want to do is go become about government grants and get grant dependent, because in 2008, we lost a lot of organizations at that time that forgot about the people that were helping them all along. And the grants, are very unpredictable, and they just shut them all down. There was no more grants, and organizations went broke. So we don't want to be about the money. We want to be about community helping community. So we want just the normal working folks in Crescent City to get on board with us. It's absolutely great soil to plant in. Daily Bread, no matter what you've heard or what you've seen, we're going on our 14th year. So it's like time will answer all the questions. They always said, oh, well, you're renting the building. Nobody's going to take you serious until you own the building. So I just want to tell you, we own our building now, and we're very serious. And we just want, people in the community to get on board with us and join in what a privilege and an honor it is to serve our community. And I don't ever want to say that God is absolutely involved in Daily Bread Ministries. Without him, go to my website, dailybreadcc.org, and read my testimony. He uses broken people all the time. I was an absolute broken person, and God saved me, and I got off of drugs, able to function normally, and I've been, enjoying this ride just tremendously. It's just been fantastic.
How did you get from that point, from being a broken person, as you said, to how did you get here? How did you get to running our Daily Bread Ministries? Where did that come from?
It was funny. A guy that comes and volunteers all the time. They call him Johnny Be Good, funniest guy in town.
I know Johnny Be
Good. He's the air guitar specialist in town.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, he was in a program that I was in, and at first I was kind of standoffish, but one day I started talking to him, found out he was from Crescent City, and that's where I was from. And I'd already felt at that point in time that I was in it was a 1 to 3 year program. And I felt like, hey, I'm going to get my head on straight, and I'm going back to my hometown, Crescent City, and I'm going to start a ministry. And so that was the first inkling. And I guess apparently that was in my heart as well.
And so what, did you just feel you were going to be a street minister? Did you want to,
I wanted to feed. That was the thing. They didn't have any programs at the time that were similar to the programs that I was in and out of. So, I was the type of person, to be honest, I would rather go steal, get busted for food before I would go into one of those programs. So I guess God was leading me. And one of the ways that happens is, when you're into the drugs and the bad life, everybody cuts you off. It's called tough love. We operate in tough love at Daily Bread. We don't, we tried giving everything away. It doesn't work. We make people, even to get a blanket or whatever, we would make them mop the floor or do something, put some ownership into it. But anyway, that was like one of the times, but I could not get away from drugs. I would go, the most I went was like 6 months, and I would always go relapse. And one day I just stood up and looked. I was in Phillipsville, behind the rest area, and doing shots of meth. And I looked up, and I felt like my heart was like going to blow up. And I looked up and I said, God, I don't even believe you exist. But I screamed it like a lion, like somebody getting attacked by a lion. I was screaming it to him. But if you are, you take away this addiction and I'll serve you for the rest of my life. And it was funny that as soon as I got that taken out of my body, the desire for it, the taste for it, how I left that part out for quite a few years. And then as I grew, one day I was in a church doing a church service, and it hit me like a ton of bricks, and I just started bawling like a 5-year-old baby. And I said, Lord, I told the people in the church, I got to make a confession. I said, I tell you the story, but I leave the part out where I'll serve you for the rest of my life. Just a human kind of a greed thing that we have. We say what we say to get what we want, and then we don't follow through. Yeah. Well, I got convicted on that, and I just was like a broken person, and the whole church stood up and came and put hands on me and said, hey, you know what? God forgives everybody. Obviously, you've been forgiven today. So it's in the sea of forgetfulness. You don't have to even go there anymore. And obviously, but you know what? 13 going on 14 years, I'm serving him. And I have no desire to do anything different. Without the thrift store, we have a little car business. I'll take that's going to make up for the money that the thrift store had. And it's going to also free me up to where I can actually, hey, wow, I just thought of that. I'll actually be able to do ministry work. Oh, that's what I really like too. That's the best part of it.
That just occurred to you?
I've had to, work the store 6 days a week. I did that for 5 years straight.
Oh, wow.
Almost lost my family because I was putting so much time into the ministry. My family would be asleep when I get home, and then I'd leave. They'd be sleeping. And that went on for 5 years. And one day my wife told me, we're going to have to figure this out. This ain't working. And, we've been through some struggles. And anybody that walks with the Lord knows that it's a spiritual battle, but they're real and they're continuous. So as we were waiting for this big gift to come, everything else was going crazy too. No. So it's one of those deals, and that's just the way that it is. The enemy does not like to see success. What did that mortgage payment payoff mean for Daily Bread Ministries? It means we'll never have to worry about it. That place will be there long after I'm gone. And I'm kind of hoping my son Jacob, he's a little entrepreneur, and I want him to go after his dream, which he wants to be an auto mechanic. He wants to go to UTI.
That's very cool. Yeah, right on.
his grandma, he's worked the store. Anybody that knew Jacob, his summers he gets 10 days off for his summer break.
Oh, wow.
The rest of the time he's working at that store, doing credit cards. He got a $7,000 pickup donated from an older lady one time. And I knew what church she belonged to. And I go, why are we getting this? And she goes, well, can I be honest with you? And I go, yeah. She said, I came in there to get a cane for my husband, and your son sold it to me for $2. I looked at Jake and I said, what are you doing giving away the store? Right? And she said, it impressed me by the way you're raising your kids.
Wow.
And so that's why she chose us to get it. And we sold the truck the next day. It was that nice.
Yeah.
It was just a blessing. Many blessings that came through there, the ministry, and for the level of our community, it's amazing what goes on there. And to be able to, what we say is it's the Lord's ministry, and we're just honored to be a part of it. And it really is a true honor.
Now you say you'll be freed up. You just realized you'll be able to do more to perform more ministry. You referred to yourself as a calico Christian. What's that mean exactly?
That is funny. Well, calico cat is cat of many different colors, right? So, well, it means, it says in the Word of God, it says we're one body in Christ, and I believe that fully. So that means everybody ventures out and starts these different denominational churches. We're a non-denominational ministry. Calico Christian means I take a little piece from each of the teachings of the different denominations and kind of formed my own little thing, and it works really good for me. There's a lot of skeptics out there and all that, but in reality, we won't really know. I mean, we'll know everything once we get there, when we pass on, and we'll realize how funny it was. I just really see God as a God with a very, very great sense of humor.
I like to think that too.
Yeah, he's having fun. I'm telling you, he is having fun on this earth, and that's what it means. Calico Christian means that I take a little piece from each one, because, I just got to say something about the Seventh-day Adventist here in Crescent City. The pastor there, last year at the fairgrounds, we were doing our big event. We had over 450 people. Very big deal. We full-blown Christmas dinner, everything you can imagine. And this pastor comes in next to me. He goes, "Well, I'm going to help you." So we're scraping the pans, you cook them, everything's stuck, and we're working together side by side. He came, worked side by side with me, and I was even considering sending my youngest daughter, my 5-year-old, to their school, because most pastors will send people, here, you go deal with this.
But he was there.
He was there getting his hands dirty, his shirt dirty, just like I was, and it really impressed me. So I can look at, whether or not we agree or disagree, that's kind of how the Bible goes. People have, it says something different to each person when you read it, and it's the living Word of God, so it changes as we change. And so scriptures and things like that will have different meanings as we grow.
That's an interesting interpretation. So for you, it's not written stone because it's in the Bible there. It is a living document that changes. And
it's flexible. Yeah. You read it means something today, and 2 years you'll read it again, and it says something altogether different.
Yeah, because you could be an entirely different spiritual person at that point.
Right, right. We're not a religious organization either. I can't stand religion. It's all about relationship with the Lord, and without that and faith, honestly, we wouldn't have made it.
Okay, so I have a theological question then for you. Okay. Since you got your own little thing going here with the Calico Christianity, is it works or faith?
It's all about faith.
Okay.
Okay, and relationship.
That's not the answer I expected.
Yeah, it's all. My assistant Daphne, Dean Cortez, is one of the most amazing women out there. She's a licensed drug counselor. She told me in a board meeting, she said, "Mike, the only thing that's kept this place going is my faith has never wavered." And that's it. I honestly, when we started, I told the guy, I'll have this building paid off in 2 years. We rented it for 8 more years, eight years before we even got the money for the down payment.
Wow. Okay.
And so that took that time. But she told me, she says, the only thing that God is honoring is your faith has never, ever changed.
Because regardless of that time, you always knew it was going to happen.
I did. I did. I just, but I was telling you when we were talking earlier, in my mind, I would think, we're in a poor community. The churches are all struggling as we struggle. And I was confessing in my mind to the Lord, having my conversation, that, it's just going to be a broke place. We're going to struggle forever. And I was starting to accept that. And then he woke me up at 2 a.m. and he told me, he said, what better place would it be for me to bless Daily Bread Ministries? Okay. Then a 30-day period went by and we got blessed. Wow. Our first biggest blessing, $52,000 is a huge gift. Yeah. And it was just like, oh my Lord, he says, what better place to gain more souls? Imagine Daily Bread Ministries finding out that the County of Del Norte is struggling on a project, and we're able to write a check for $25,000 and say, here, bless you. So to help them, that's the focus I want to get to. That's the kind of stuff I want to be able to do for Daily Bread, so that God can get all the glory. He's a jealous God, and he wants all the glory. As soon as I took my hands off of that place is when it started to grow.
That's amazing.
And I had to learn that.
Now you'd mentioned, we talked about this before going on live too, about how you have only recently, because it sort of seemed like you'd likened yourself to kind of being an uptight guy through the years. You hold on to things and you worry over. I know exactly what that's like. Yeah. Just recently, though, you would learn to kind of let go. What was that like?
It was amazing. It was like a revelation that I got. My wife, she would tell you how I used to stress. We get a $1,200 power bill or something, and I'd be like, "Oh no, we don't have the money." And we've actually personally had a savings account, and we donated our money a few times, more than a few times. And actually then I loaned the ministry $3,000 like 2 years ago from a tax return, and actually got that back. Most of them I didn't get back because we never got into that position. So again, but it was like the weight of the world off of your shoulders. It was like I finally got it. I mean, when I started, I've been learning this whole time, and I finally got the revelation from God that if he's for you, who can be against you? And these are his bills, not mine, and he will pay them. Now, basically, that's how it developed that way. And it was like the weight, and it was just a revelation. One day I said, I don't got to worry no more. And all this gray hair that I got currently, like if this was dry, you would see solid gray.
Oh,
and
wow.
my beard, it just matches my beard. But when my hair is dry like that, that's what it is, solid gray. And most of it was undue stress. I mean, it was very unnecessary. But with the Lord, you got to grow to learn. And it all starts by him using broken people to get his message across, and to be able to testify how he saved me. And I often tell people, you put the same amount, first off, get saved if you're not, let the Lord into your life, and then put the energy that you were putting into going out and stealing and getting loaded into doing something good, and you too can. Homelessness is a choice, because you have a choice. Circumstances cause things to happen, and then we have a tendency to beat ourselves up, and then it's just you get too far back and it seems like you can't get out. But you can. I was homeless for 2 years, by the way. I was a big part of the tent city in Seattle. I mean, it was weird how God had me going to all these missions, because like I said, I would rather just go steal from a store. I had too much pride, I guess is what it was at the time. And
it's almost like he was sending you on a fact-finding mission for the future, right?
And I did. I seen missions ran where the program people were wearing all the brand new clothes. They would eat first, the people in the program, and they were eating roast and steak and potatoes with sour cream and chives, and then they'd let them go, and then we'd be lined up looking in there, and then they'd get some kind of soup and hard stale bread.
Oh, wow.
And that was one of the first things I seen that I said, if I was doing this and in charge of this, I personally, it would be equal for everybody. Now, we feed really, really good meals at Daily Bread. I told them, hey, you guys cook it with love, and you cook good food, and we do really good meals there, pies and homemade desserts and all that. Oh, wow. So people cook there with love, and it's equal. The transients get the same as what our programmers get. Matter of fact, our programmers come in, they'd come into the thrift store, hey, I want that, and okay, just give me $2, that'd be good. We don't, I don't believe in that, just give. I think if we demand ownership and take, it gives us a sense of pride. I gave people trailers and RVs in the beginning, and then I get these notices in the mail, hey, your car was abandoned, it's been towed, so we learned.
In that case, that's a very specific case, but it's good to give ownership to somebody.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Then I hooked a guy up. He was a cook, and I said, okay, well, you're gonna cook, and had a really nice motorhome come in. I said, you can work it off. We figured out the hours, $10 an hour back then, and said, here, you got to do this many hours for us. Once you get done, you get title. So we drew up a contract, and he followed through with it. And that guy's in contact with me today. He lives in Florida. He's cooking. He's on his feet, and he never forgot about that motorhome. And he did. He was like, he probably figured, well, I should have just gave it to him, but I'd already been there and done that. And people, when you just give people stuff, they don't appreciate it as much as if they have to work for it.
No, you're right. Yeah, that's true. That's absolutely true.
That's that theory.
So, okay, so a lot of folks, at the town hall and elsewhere across the community, everybody has an opinion about homeless and about homelessness, about the homeless and homelessness. You work with homeless people every day. You've been homeless yourself. Give us, how much worse has it gotten recently here? And first we kind of went through a period, I know we're talking to other people, where are we imagining this? Has something really changed? But there is a significant increase in the amount of homeless around, right?
There is, and you're right here where your station is. You see a lot of it here. The thing that's gotten worse is heroin addiction.
Really?
Okay, that's the new drug in town. It still got meth, but the main thing is, and some of this is gang related, believe it or not. In Eureka, they have 1,500 people homeless in any given day in Eureka. And there's a lot of the gangs and stuff in Eureka and organizations that actually, they know that the homeless people are getting checks. So what they want to do is get them strung out on this heroin. Oh, wow. Then they become slaves to that guy. So they'll front them in the, through the month to keep them from being sick. And then when they get their check, they get that whole check. And so there's a lot of exploitation being done with homeless people, and there's a lot of money, and they do it in Eureka as well. Wow. And the old S Street mission that was in Eureka, they had some scandals where the place they were cooking meth up in the upper parts, and they had the homeless delivering all their drugs for them. So they were sitting there. So these scandals that happen are true and real. And then these people that, deal in sex trafficking and all that, they also are looking for any way to make money. And if you think about that, if somebody's getting $900 to $1,200 a month and you have heroin, you can own that person completely. Not only get them to do deliveries for you, but you just pretty much, you're getting that check. Now you times that by 50 or 100 people, get them strung out on heroin, and now you own their check every month. One of my second things that I just like to say in that, I think that if people are homeless, I think they need to have a payee, and there's programs out there, but I think it needs to be mandatory that people get like $150 a week, their money managed, so they can't get it all at one time. And then the rest of it in a savings. And there's actually, it's called Finance for People. It's out of Sacramento. There is people that, to get busted for drugs that they've started doing this, but I think they need to implement that in, because I see the same things happening over and over again. People, they get their check, they go to the pizza place, they've been struggling for the whole month, they don't have a home, they drink a pitcher of beer. Oh, let's go to the casino, honey. They'll go in the casino and waste all their money. Yeah. And then they're back at Daily Bread going, oh, I lost my wallet. And then, discernment tells me, oh, you mean you lost all your funding at the casino, or, and it's just, it's tough love, and then we give them, then we're there to help them through. So some people call that enabling, and in a way it is, but through the years, we have a general program for people that just don't get it. And then if you want to get your life together, we also have a program that you can come in and be a part of it. It's called Life Recovery. It's not a drug program. It's a life recovery program that Daphne runs, and it helps so many people. And
wow, what's the program entail? What do people go through?
It's basically you live at the mission, and it's basically you got classes Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and they're right around 3 hours long, and you go through the program. It's a 1-year program. But you can jump in at any time. It goes through the whole cycle and then starts over again. And some people, it takes 3 or 4 years to get it together. Some people get it together in a year. Mainly, it's a really, really good program. She's fantastic. That's one of my desires. I was just talking to her this morning. I says, I'm good with my income, but it's my desire that you start getting a payday. She worked for me for 2 years as a volunteer. She's been with me over 10 years, and she makes $300 a week. Oh my God. It's the labor of love. A lot of people go,
did she come up with this program too?
No, but she was a recovering addict herself, and she went and got her bachelor's degree in licensed drug counselor, and she used to work for JRC and made good money, and I used to talk about as you go. I know I got Daphne because Daphne sold out to Jesus, and I don't have to worry about her leaving me. In the beginning, I did. I was like, my God, what if somebody hooks her up with a job out at the prison or something?
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah.
Then what do I do? But, I don't worry about her because she's already proven herself over and over again. So one of my big desires is to get her a decent paycheck. That was like immediately I called her. I go, and we prayed about it. I said, this is what I want to see happen. I want you to be able to get, I says, I don't know, $800 a week would be, that's not too much for somebody with a bachelor's degree. And she's more than that. She works with me side by side, and it's a whole collaboration of people that make this thing run, because literally I'm not a bookkeeper. I don't have them kind of skills, but we have a bookkeeper that was retired from CDC that's been with us for 7 or 8 years. And we got QuickBooks, and we got all the reports at the end of the year. It's just amazing what God has done. Wow. I just can't say that enough. And one other thing I'd like to say to anybody listening, we still have applications for our Christmas program this year, and we would love if you have a family and you're low income, or you want to offset some of this Christmas cost. Go down to 1135 Harold Street and get an application and fill out, and you can get brand new gifts for your kids, and the kids can get gifts for you. And that's just another program. That's one of the programs. We used to do it. Daphne perfected it. She's been perfecting it every year since. And I think we're going on our 8th year now, total on that program. We did it daily bread style. When we started out, we were getting toys donated that were used from like CO's kids or whatever, and we would actually have groups of people with awesome cleaning the toys and then age appropriating and wrapping them. And now we do bike runs and fundraisers for that immediately after Christmas. We're doing for the next year, and I think we almost tripled our income. So everything, we got a lot of nice stuff, a lot of gifts to give out that are amazing. We don't do extravagant like bicycles or any of that now. It's just mainly, but they're all new, brand new toys. So that's pretty cool.
And kids and parents.
Yeah. So the parents get to choose for their kids the toys. They'll all be on display at the fairgrounds. They come into this little room, and we got it like a little curtain room, and they'll go in there and they'll pick out for their kids, and then there's people wrapping presents. They wrap them for them, and then the kids get to go in and pick out for mom and dad. So we have all kinds of stuff, and it's an amazing evening. If you haven't been there, I encourage you to go there and see it. Again, it's something that we've worked our way towards to be more community orientated, and that is the goals. We want to be able to be a rescue mission. That's 7 days a week, a bed for anybody that needs it. I think it looks better than people sleeping alongside the road, and I've seen that before, where people are just in their sleeping bag right on a sidewalk. It's like, what if some drunk driver runs over here? It's just like, it makes things better, and that's what we want to try to be a blessing to our community.
So when's the Christmas program happen?
So it happens on the 21st, and I think we take applications until the 18th.
Wow, okay,
yeah,
right up until...
So they're still, Where do
you get the gifts?
It's like I say, we do toy runs. We had 80-some bikers come to, we rented the Veterans Hall, and we had a band come in and play, and it was a fantastic time. And they come and they bring gifts, and then they buy silent auction we had going on there, and so they purchased. I think we made $2,500 or something in that, real close to that last year. The year before that was 12, and we still and it was still a perfect thing. It was 450, but we're expecting probably around 600 this year. So every year it grows a little bit more, so people get to hearing about it.
And so there's the gifts. There's food happening there too.
We do regular Christmas dinner food.
Wow.
We do the feeding. The tables are all decorated and set up. They come in, they sit down. Then there's a puppet show that Rita Bell, she does. I don't know if you know Rita Bell. She's a real we call her our songbird. She sings and does all kinds of stuff.
Wow, no, I don't know the name.
And anyway, she does a puppet show, and I can remember we had over 150 children around the puppet show, and she said the sinner's prayer with those kids and had them repeat after her, and all the kids did. It was a beautiful night. That was really made it really worthwhile, all the effort that we put into that.
Wow. Wow. So that's coming up the 21st.
Yeah.
So if somebody's got money, they've got something they want to help out with, what's the best way to get a hold of the ministry and you?
So no thrift store means that, yes.
There's no place to stop by anymore,
yeah,
right?
well, you can still come by. We'll have people there all the time. The door will be open.
Okay.
It just won't be a thrift store. So basically what's changing now is we actually bought some cars. We tested the waters, and that's what we're going to be doing. I just got a text today that somebody wants to donate a car. They wanted to make sure they could get a tax write-off. So cars, boats, anything that I can turn around and turn into cash. We absolutely give tax write-offs for all that. If you got a car and you're going to go try to get a trade-in value, you know how that goes. You could donate it to Daily Bread. We'd be able to clean it up, sell it, and the proceeds would go to help fund our organization. That would also, I put the cars out in the morning, I put them away at night. It's frees me up for the rest of the day. And we haven't had that meeting yet, Paul. The meeting of, okay, now everybody's job titles and duties are changing. What are we going to do about this? And so we're going to have that meeting maybe today. I'm not sure if it's going to happen today, but
really like a reorganization kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like, okay, well, Daphne goes, well, my job stays the same,
right?
Everybody else is free to go. Am I going to be the only one here now? And I was just dying laughing on that. I go, no, we're not going to leave you all there by yourself, so don't worry about it. And she's like, well, we need to establish who's doing what and what this consists of.
How many people can be in the program currently?
We absolutely had 16 in there, and it was the phone didn't never quit ringing. There's so much drama that I just begged Daphne. I said, can we just make 10 be the magic number, please? And so where we have the room now for the shelter room is also the discipleship room. So during the shelters, they get to share their space. So what we would do now that the thrift store is gone, and long-term goal would be to get that 20 bunk beds, which would be 40 people, transient housing, and that would be in another section. And then that big room that we currently use would be basically their room and only their room. And then we had a bunch of from the fairgrounds that got donated partition, so we were going to go around and partition off and put a dresser there and a foot locker because we have problems with people trying to be collectors in there. And so we're going to have a foot locker. This is when that's full, there's no more. You can't put anything under your bed. We're going to make them. They have to clean. I mean, they're all 10 of those people work, in shifts with us to run the shelter.
Okay.
So I mean, they're absolutely working hard, and I mean we're raising them up too to teach them, and one of the disciples cooks 2 nights a week, and that's what she feels that she needs to be doing for the Lord. And then running the shelter, you have to have a woman and a man, and then we have to have a staff member too as well, and so we do meet that criteria. But that room would be their bedroom, and they'd be able to have their own little space. They could go in there and lay down and put earplugs in and not be disturbed when they're not working. So that's what that is.
Wow. So so I guess, is the meeting today more about so you can have 10 people in the program now. When you expand, will that expand as well, or are you going to keep that just sort of staff oriented?
Probably just staff orientated. They'll still be used to because we have cameras.
It's just the transient thing that's going to be able to change for you guys is who can come in for that.
Where the thrift store was, there's so much room there. Okay. It's going to be nice. 2 rows of 10 bunks across, and it'll be easy to watch them. We have cameras and all that.
Will that be enough?
It will. 40 people. I mean, you only, the ordinance says, or the law is 50 square feet per person. So, it'll be enough for that. But you mean, would we want to be bigger than that? No.
Will that capacity be enough for Crescent City, Delmar County?
Yes. Yeah. Not everybody. I mean, you go to Santa Rosa, we went on tour to a couple other organizations, $1 million facilities. And then you still see the tents under the overpasses. And so there's a lot of people that, the word on the street, when we're always booked out, don't get me wrong. We always book out, but more people should be coming in. If you ask them, why don't you go stay at the Mission? They'll say, well, there's too many rules there. And Paul, I just want to tell you, we have 3 rules.
What
Simple. You can't be drunk. You can't be under the influence of drugs. And you have to help clean the place before you leave after breakfast. So that's three
That's
rules.
it, huh?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. That's
So,
tough.
But,
That's asking a lot.
Some people just, and I get it,
Well, you said yourself earlier, and it was kind of a strange thing to hear, but I know there are a lot of people have opinions about what motivates people to be homeless, and I'm sure it's different for each individual who's homeless. But you said it was a choice.
Yeah, it is. It really is a choice because, when the doors shut and slam, okay, so my family cut me off. They said, you know what, you've been so messed up for so many years, don't even call, talk, nothing. If I sent a letter, it got returned to sender. If I tried to make a phone call, they hang up on me.
Wow.
And it was that tough love that broke me. And that also, while I was broken on the street, going, I was starving for love. And guess where I started going into? Churches. And I'd get loved on by these church people, and I was starving for it. And it was like, and that was a motivating factor for me. I was starving for love because I'd burnt every single bridge that I ever went across. And it was that tough love that got me to look up and cry out to God. And that was the start. And then it, it's not like it just happened overnight. There was, we were a MASH unit in the beginning. We used to have the function of feeds alongside the roads. We used to pick people up at Safeway. The city and county back in them days were anti this, and we had all these problems, and so then they said you can't feed no more in the churches, or we're going to start arresting pastors. And we're like, okay, well, we can't let this happen. So I was driving down the road and the phone rings, and he says, how much money we got? And I go, about $2,500 in the bank. He says, well, what about fast food restaurants? So we did that for a year, and we would all meet at Safeway, and we would all pick it and go up Burger King Way and come all the way down 101 and go to whatever restaurant we chose. It was like we do burritos and tacos, like at Taco Bell or whatever. And then Pizza King would lend us their space, and we'd buy pizzas for everybody.
Oh, wow.
And we did that for about a year until we got our first location, which was the Life Gym now, there on Wilson Street. We went in there, and they let us operate for 4 months. And by then, these people were all saying, well, how long is this one going to last? Because we've seen them come, we've seen them go. Yeah. And I made promises that I felt that I really needed to keep. And I go, I promise you we're going to stay there. And they let us go for 4 months, didn't stop us. And that was, at that point in time, people were jumping on board with us, and we ended up getting an opportunity to get into the old Moose Lodge, and then we rented that for 8 years, and now we own it.
Now you own it. That's amazing.
So it's pretty cool.
Wow. Well, I can't. We've talked for about 50 minutes now already.
Wow.
But no, just like that happens.
Yeah.
So thanks for coming in. I want to offer a couple of things. First off, I would like to get involved with our Daily Bread Ministries. It seems like what you guys do is incredibly important and good for the community. So any sort of partnership, anything we can think up for KFUG and the ministry, very much into that. That's just an idea to throw out there.
Well, one of the things that's always good is repeat. If you just mention us and encourage your listeners and your people that it's a good place. Like I say, if you give unto the Lord, I mean that's a huge blessing. The soil is really good there, and it's like our whole function is to be able to do more and to be more effective. And if you just mention our name occasionally and say, hey, don't forget about Daily Bread, because people tend to forget about us. And so I mean,
until something happens and people go, wow, look at all these homeless.
And that didn't generate a lot. I mean, well, it did. And I remember that meeting. It was like some of the ideas, we need to get cages and FEMA camp. Remember FEMA trailers and tent cities. And I'm like, oh, no way would that work. And the only suitable thing was a fully functioning rescue mission to where we can manage our problem. It's just simple math. Now, I don't advertise this a lot, but I didn't graduate high school. So I was a high school dropout. And, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but I'm part of a family of the Lord that He's the smartest guy that I know, and He backs my place. So I just think that it's just the reality of it is everybody cringes. What's your biggest need? Money.
Yeah.
What's your biggest need? Money, or, we got people that go shopping for us at Costco and all that all the time. And I bet you this guy spends at least $300 a month.
Wow.
He texts me, he goes, what do you need? And so I send him a list. And, that's just like money.
Yeah.
And so if you don't like giving money and you just want to be able to get a tax write-off or donate something that way, or go shopping for us, we always take meat, canned food, anything like that. So, I mean, that's just something that, we ran the whole ministry on, basically from day one. It used to be a lot more people coming in donating. But as we get bigger, we're going to need more. And we did run out of food last year.
Oh, wow.
When we did the shelter, we increased all the services. We were doing breakfast, lunch, and dinner 5 nights a week. And we went through a lot of, so imagine that 7 days a week, what that's going to do. It's going to require a lot more food. So, however you do it. I mean, Alexander Dairy donated $8,000 worth of meats to us when we first started.
Wonderful.
They
That's
came
cool.
to the Wilson Street, and that's when we got it. And we had all the freezers at my mom's house. We had to get an electrician to actually do a circuit thing there because we had
Just for the
8 freezers that stayed out. And I still have those freezers working today.
Wow.
Inside the building now, and I think we have 15 freezers altogether now. And it used to be, just on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, it lasted 6 months if anything happened. But now that we've increased all that, and we do plan on having, the food and doing that program is going to require a lot more help for sure.
And I imagine you always have space and room and need for volunteers, right?
Yes, always, yeah. Especially as we grow, that's definite. Yeah, we've had great volunteers. We still got some really committed people, and we just, as it grows, we're going to need a lot more of everything. So, yeah.
What would you do if homelessness was just overnight fixed?
What would I do? That's a good question. I never really thought about that.
And it's not, you probably don't want to waste a lot of time thinking about it because it's not really going to happen, but I assume. But what would you do? Would you close down the ministry? Would you?
I think I would probably become a dog rescue facility.
Okay, all right, yeah.
And that way, I've often thought about that. We had our jars out in the stores, and the dog ones had $100 bills in them. It's just a reality, right?
True, yeah.
And I get it. They make it so difficult for me to go out and try to get them help. They do. They're like, I asked somebody at a store, hey, help on my program. Well, do you realize what they
put these puppies right here, man.
and they're asking my customers for change, and sometimes they're drunk, and I'm like, you guys are killing me here, and then I go knock, hey, will you help us? And they're like, why would we help you?
No, great.
It's like, but anyway, the reality is, that's how you make the problem be less visible, is starting to manage it. I just keep going back to that, managing the problem. But if it was gone totally, I really don't know. That would be great.
That would be
great.
That'd be a nice problem to have.
That would be great. That would be I don't know what I would do.
Well, as long as the homeless is, I'm glad you're in our community doing what you do. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you so much, Paul.
And you want to keep the word out there, and we'll do what we can. But another thing we can do is come in again sometime pretty soon here and sit down and let's talk again.
Let's do it every few months or something.
All right, right on.
All right, awesome. Thank you.
Thanks much, Mike Justice from Our Daily Bread Ministries.